Hello, everybody. Aiden here, and welcome into today's episode of Around the Slice. So, after many days of preview discussions and many days in a row of episodes here on Around the Slice, which I thoroughly enjoyed with all of you, I hope you did as well. We have finally reached the start in the beginning of 2026 NFL free agency. Officially, we are now fully entrenched in the chaotic fun and chaos. So, this is obviously a very, very rapidly changing time of year and very chaotic time of year for podcasting and timing of it as a whole specifically. So for frame of reference, it is right now, it is 9:30 a.m. on Tuesday, March 10th at the time of this recording. So anything happening beyond this point, we will cover on the next episode. Again, right now, at the time of this recording, 9:30 a.m. on Tuesday, March 10th, as I will be checking in every couple of days for the next week or two as we gear towards the end of the bulk of free agency here on Around the Slice show and podcast. But I want to give you my thoughts on these news items in sequential order surrounding, if they went down and the news broke, of surrounding Brandon Beane and the Buffalo Bills. So with all that being said, let's get into it. So first, something minor. We knew that starting slot corner, franchise staple for the last 7-8 years now, Taron Johnson was not going to be on this team via a release. But somehow Brandon Beane swooped in and found a trade partner at the last second, as the Buffalo Bills have traded its starting slot corner Taron Johnson to the Las Vegas Raiders for a 6th, 7th round pick swap. Basically, quick rundown here, the Buffalo Bills and Brandon Beane had 2 7th round picks this year in the 2026 NFL draft. So with one of those, they jump from the 7th round to the 6th round again, and they send one of those 7th rounders to Clint Kubiak under new leadership. Clint Kubiak and the Las Vegas Raiders. Unfortunately, though, there's no difference in cap implications in the situation with this specifically as a whole. Mainly, it's still the exact same as a pre-June 1st trade / release. $2 million saved only and $9.5 million dead. So I don't know what you guys think, but this even hits home the point even more so now with this trade, that this wasn't about money, like damn near at all. This was fully about scheme fit or lack thereof in this case, and Jim Leonard's new blitz aggressive, man heavy scheme implementation, scheme as a whole, specifically mainly for Taron Johnson. So minor but notable nonetheless. Next, the Bills lose a free agent. Backup QB Mitch Trubisky has signed with the Tennessee Titans on a 2-year deal. Now, I was kind of surprised with how quickly this came to fruition personally yesterday at the time of this recording, just because I thought Mitch Trubisky, there's a linger and he would float out there, if you will, for a few weeks per se. And then he would come back with a lack of quote-unquote market to the Buffalo Bills to back up literally his best friend on record in the past, in Josh Allen. But I get that for Trubisky, the Titans. He probably wants to help develop heavily a year or two QB in Cam Ward. And maybe he can make a spot start here or there, which 0% chance of with Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills, obviously, barring, fingers crossed, never happens, fingers crossed, barring injury. He probably thought, hey, maybe if Cam Ward gets injured because his reckless style of play sometimes, aggressive, holding the ball too long, taking unneeded sacks, getting his head torn off style of play sometimes, maybe I can go there and spot start here and there due to that under Robert Saleh and Brian Daboll is very familiar with. Obviously, 1 year with the Bills. Or no, wait, they didn't cross over, but you know what I mean. So 2-year deal to the Tennessee. Next, put a frick effing knife in my heart, man. When I saw this news, my eyes bugged out of my head. Started getting very, very emotional. I started tearing up. This broke my heart. This shattered my heart. This AFC's rival, no less, Reggie Gilliam, better known as Sledge around these parts, has signed with the New England Patriots on a 3-year, $12 million deal, which equates to $4 million per year. Some people have said this is too much for a fullback. Maybe so. I'm pretty confident in saying Brandon Beane very heavily tried, because Sledge just made $2.5 million over the one season with the Bills last year in 2025. So I'm sure he offered him something like a slight pay bump of 2 years, $6 million, $3 million per. But obviously, Mike Vrabel and company swept in. Mike Vrabel emphasizes the minute details. Mike Vrabel emphasizes heavy zone running teams. Mike Vrabel emphasizes physicality. That's let's do it to you. So I get it from their perspective, but shit, man, I'm sorry to swear, but this put a knife in my heart. This Sledge was very much my spirit animal at this point for the Buffalo Bills. I'm gonna miss my guys. Unfortunate. UDFA out of Toledo beats out Pat DeMarco outright, and Pat DeMarco was released and retired. Shit. This really got me emotional. But anyway, left guard David Edwards has signed with the New Orleans Saints. 4-year, $60 million contract, $15 million per year equates to. I'll just say it right now. I'm glad that Beane and the Bills didn't pounce in this. I'm glad that they didn't give him his price point, especially considering McGovern. Once McGovern was re-signed at $13 million per year over the 3 years. No, 4 years. 4-year, 52, right? So 52, 13 over that. There was no scenario. I said that, discussed that there was no scenario on this freaking planet where David Edwards was back, and I was right. Now we have some competition at left guard. Maybe you want to have a young guy competition and Alec Anderson, Tyler Grable, or maybe you want to sign a stopgap veteran with no questions. Isaac Seumalo's off the board, unfortunately, but James Daniels, stopgap of Wyatt Teller, and or Joel Bitonio. Maybe that. I personally love Alec Anderson's projections of starting left guard in this new scheme under Pat Meyer, but 1 year, $2.5 million is nowhere near starting guard money. No less left guard money. So maybe I do want to get a veteran in there. I don't know. All options are on the table. I'm just glad that they didn't pounce on this. I was willing to pay David Edwards 12, maybe 13, but 15 is a hefty amount. So I'm glad that they didn't invest too much, like an overly absurd amount in the interior between McGovern, and I'm glad that they paid McGovern and chose him out of 2. Next, first big, not a splash, but first big starter signing, if you would, of free agency. The Buffalo Bills have signed corner D. Elford, more specifically, once you hear his size, slot corner. But let's get to the financials right at the top here. Let's not bury the lead, per se. 3 years, base value of 15.7. No. 3 years, base value of $15.75 million. This equates to $5.25 million. Originally, it was reported at $21 million, but an hour or so later, come to find out that's the max. Again, the base is 3 years, 15.75, 5.25 for a younger, more athletic version in the slot of Taron Johnson at this point in each of their respective careers is amazing. Spot Trek put out a great projection on Twitter where it breaks down as follows. So D. Elford, $7.875 million right now is guaranteed at signing once it becomes official. Another $2.2 million is guaranteed next March, so March of 2027. And then he has annual incentives of $1.75 million over 3 years, hence the max value of 3 years, 21. But in practicality, it's a 2-year, $11 million deal that they can get out of after year 2 if they would like to. If the transition isn't working out so hot, I assume it will, but who knows? Anyways, for the player details and the specifics, he is 28 years old, and so he's about a year younger than Taron Johnson, and he's a lot more athletic and speedier than Taron Johnson at this point in their respective careers, as I mentioned at the top here. Really cool story. 2020 UDFA out of Tusculum. I don't know how to pronounce this. Tusculum, I think. I don't know, some random ass D2 school. Who knows? He's a slot corner through and through. 5'11", 175. Just don't ask him to be physical. Don't ask him to man up against some 6'4" DK Metcalf type receiver, for example. But he's speedy and athletic. Damn, like, holy crap, you better be at that size. At 5'11", 175, you better be speedy. You better be uber athletic. If you're small and slow, we can't roll with that. We ain't doing that. So I'm really glad. When I first saw the signing, I was like, okay, this is just going to be another depth corner. But I didn't realize he's been the Atlanta Falcons starting slot corner for the past 3 years. Now, obviously, they didn't re-sign him because Billy Bowman is the future there at slot corner. Unfortunately, Bowman got injured very early in the season last year, went on season-ending IR, entered D. Elford, whatever. But Elford, you talk about contract year highs. He's coming off a career high 13 PBUs and 3 interceptions. Slot corners are usually very athletic and very speedy, just like Alfreda's here and projecting this new style, aggressive defense, but they don't really have ball production, so they're not really around the ball much as slot corners, as they pick up running backs and tight ends and on occasion slot receivers as well in their main role. So 13 PBUs and 3 interceptions is outstanding sticky ball production for a slot corner. Again, a very relatively cheap slot corner who is just getting started in this league. It's a very cool story going from a D2 school to the CFL to the NFL. Outstanding signing. I'm going to give the signing for Brandon Beane an A- because I do think there's bigger names that he could have signed at slot corner, if that makes sense per se. If that makes sense to you guys, I don't know. You can let me down in the comments below what you think, but A-. I'm a little surprised at the time of this. I'm a little surprised that this was first priority. I thought it would be down the board in terms of other positions of priority for Beane the Bills as a whole, specifically, if you would. But yeah, I A-. More that I talk about it with some family member or some group chats I in, when I talk about it with my dad as a whole. He really likes it, so shout out there. But A- for me. I'm sure he would give it like an A+ or something. I just think there's more that they could have done maybe, but 3 years, $5.25 million for a starting slot corner, like, you're not going to find much better financials than that. So, and I just broke it down per spot track, so that's great. Next, this is really dumb. I don't understand this at all. Bills signed QB Kyle Allen. This guy's not functional. Did you see him in preseason for the 1 year with the Bills? Throwing interceptions all over the place. It got to the point where McDermott's gone now, but he said there was a legit QB2 competition between Kyle Allen and, of all people, wait for it, Matt Barkley. Okay? This bringing back a Kyle Allen, again, we're going to get to the financials here, but this seems like just stupid and just getting Josh Allen's quote-unquote guys in there with his best friends. But at least Josh Allen had a best friend in Trubisky that could actually function per that Week 18 game and that dime dot to Josh Palmer when he came in on Josh Allen. We thought he, broke his nose or something like that. Some crap like that. So, yeah. I don't like this. Financials, 2 years, $4.1 million. That averages out to $2.05 million per year. And then they baked in incentives here for some stupid reason. $6.1 million max value. You don't invest at backup QB, and then now you're going to invest in Kyle Allen. Hell, I would have taken the upside swing on Trey Lance, developed behind Josh Allen. They have very similar body types and archetypes. I would have taken the swing on Trey Lance, personally, but they love going on Josh Allen's best friends. But again, at least Trubisky could function as Josh Allen's best friend. So quick background on Kyle Allen, 30 years old. He was the Bills' backup QB in 2023 when they quote-unquote beat out Matt Barkley for the QB2 job. What a horrible situation. And then he went to the Steelers in 2024 and the Lions in 2025. You talk to Lions fans, he wasn't even a backup QB. And then he was QB3 for the Steelers that year behind Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, respectively, as they flip-flop starting games that year, a couple years ago, specifically and mainly, but this is the most lackluster thing I've ever heard. You could have taken an upside swing with Trey Lance. I would have been more than down for that. But I guess Josh Allen's final say. I don't know. Anyway, this one, Bills re-signed punter. Bills re-signed punter Mitch Wisnowski. It's a 1 year deal. I can't imagine it's more than 1 year, $2 million, $1.5, $2 million. That's what I think. The Bills went through hell last year with their punter situation. Brought in Brad Robbins in preseason. Well, actually, they had a preseason competition of Jake Camarda and Brad Robbins. They cut Camarda. Brad Robbins beats him out. Brad Robbins sucks in week 1. Okay, goodbye, Brad Robbins, you're out. Cam Johnson comes in for 2 or 3 games. He's great, but then he gets his ass blown up on the ground by getting obliterated by Zach Sealer for roughing the punter with the Miami Dolphins. Cheap shot, but hey, who am I to say? Judge. Actually, no, I'm judging. That was a cheap shot. Get your ass out of here. Anyway, you finally found a very good, consistent punter, Mitch Wisnowski, as backed up by since week 5. Wisnowski's punts were only returned 28.5% of the time. Third lowest in the NFL with the new rules these days. That's great. And something I look at here is hang time. Ninth in average hang time. I can't believe we're sitting this much time in a punter, but ninth in average hang time at 4.44 seconds. That's great. It gives your gunners and all those special teams boys over there time to get their ass hauling down the field. Fourth best in yards per return at 6.3 yards per return. Against his punts. I can't believe we spent that much time in a punter, but you finally found a good punter, so keep him in the fold. Anyways, I have an AFC East check-in for you guys. I'm going to throw this in here. What have our biggest rivals done? First of all, I didn't include this, but Kansas City Chiefs. Jesus. I love to see it because they got bloody, a complete bloodbath of their secondary. They signed a Lohi Gilman sense, who I actually like as a huge sleeper target for the Bills. That pisses me off too. But yeah, I don't get their philosophy or their secondary. They draft day 3 DBs, they develop day 3 DBs, and then let them walk for big paydays. They don't pay defensive back. Trade away Trent McDuffie. Jalen Watson, go to the Rams. He's out. Corner, Rams, he's out. Josh Williams, go to the Titans. He's out. Ryan Cook, go to the Bengals. He's out. Yeah, they signed Lohi Gilman, I actually like, but what do they have? Their starting safety duo is going to be Lohi Gilman and Jaden Hicks, which okay, and I guess that's okay. And then they have Noah Williams. They'll probably draft some 2 or 3 more day 3 defensive backs and develop them and let them leave in 3 or 4 years. I'm telling you, they don't pay guys at DB. So yeah. Anyway, with the AFC East, I have no significant order of importance. This is just top of my mind, burning up my mind, if you will. Jets, they were really weird yesterday. Again, time of this recording, yesterday being Monday, March 9th. At the time of this recording, it is Tuesday, March 10th. In the morning, 9:30 a.m. I don't get this. They don't have a QB still. They barely have any weapons on offensive side, Garrett Wilson at all. But then they invest in their defense and sign all these aging veterans. Listen, guys, I like Demario Davis. I talked about these 2 guys as targets for the Bills. So individually, separately, in their own right, individually, I like Demario Davis a lot as a player. I like David Onyemata a lot as a player. I like Kingsley Enagbare and Joseph Asai to a decent amount as well. But they're signing these guys, specifically Davis and David Onyemata. They're signing these defensive veterans and act like they're going to compete next year. Bro, you don't even have a quarterback. You don't have no freaking weapons outside of Garrett Wilson. Like, Aaron Glenn. Like, he loses respect for me every day. Like, yeah, you're a defensive guy, but Joe Marino of Lockdown Bills on Twitter made a good point. They're accelerating their rebuild. They act like they're actually going to compete next year. Bro, I can't believe the philosophy of bringing those guys. Again, no shade. Demario Davis, David Onyemata, big fan. All potential Hall of Famers, especially Demario Davis, or both of them specifically, but mainly. But they act like they're going to be competitive next year. Next, Dolphins, Malik Willis. Now, this is not a franchise QB deal, but high tools, high upside. Now, the conversation was getting a little crazy where he's going to get at minimum $30 million per year, many thought. This comes in at 2 years, 3 years. I don't remember, but bottom line is 22.5 APY, way below the $28 to $30 million projection, $30 million at minimum, 22.5 per year. That is new APY over the next 2 or 3 years. I can't remember exactly. So much crap going on here these days. But yeah. Finishing off with the Patriots, Sledge aside. Damn, I can't even talk about it without getting choked up. They add an offensive line. They add a high upside tools guy, Elijah Vera Tucker. The dude's just always injured. The last 3 to 4 years, he's suffered season-ending injuries in preseason or very early in the seasons, respectively. He tore his, patellar tendon 2 years in a row, and then he tore his ACL/Achilles one of those years, one of those 2. It just really, really feel bad for him. He's a kick-ass guard. He's a Pro Bowl level guard when he's healthy, but when is he ever healthy? But I do like how the Patriots offensive line is forming. At left tackle, they're going to keep Will Campbell there, which I think I love to clown the Patriots whenever I can, but I think the coming up the Super Bowl hate was a little overblown. Left tackle, they have Will Campbell. Left guard, they have Lejavera Tucker now. Please, fingers crossed, stay healthy. Center, they're going to move Jared Wilson there with the exodus of Garrett Bradbury to the Bears. Whatever. Right guard, they have Micah Wenyu. And then right tackle, they have Morgan Moses. And at pick 31, they're in striking distance of Caleb Lomu. We're trading up potentially from Monroe Freeling to move on, or successor rather, to Morgan Moses. Anyways, guys, the rest of the AFC East, I really like that the Dolphins did. I really like that the Patriots did. Yeah, the Dolphins only made one move in specific with Malik Willis. Really love it. I hate that I love it so much. Patriots, I love your Tucker. And then the Jets, they act like they're going to be competitive next year. Anyway, what I want from the Bills going forward, the two markets at the positions that I want, linebacker and safety, are moving very rapidly. At linebacker, Alex Singleton re-signed with the Denver Broncos. And also at linebacker, like, Jesus, guys. The Raiders signed both Nakobe Dean and Quay Walker. I'm not going to go over the terms, but that really makes me upset. Like, damn, bro, leave some for the rest of us. Like, man, you think they like investing in linebacker? That offense will be just fine with Kubiak. Clearly, they said, nope, Devin White ain't working anymore. Get your ass out of here. We got to get them. Like, damn, bro, save some for the rest of us. You know what I'm saying? But, yeah. And that safety, Kobe Bryant and Brian Cook got mega deals. That probably wasn't, well, not mega, but top of the market deals at safety. That wasn't realistic, though. But Reed Blankenship got, 8.75 over 3 years from the Texans. Special defense, even more special now. The rich get richer. Yeah. I'm looking at two guys. The goal of today, again, Tuesday, March 10th, when I say today, needs to be sign Leo Chenal at linebacker and sign Jaquan Brisker at safety. If you don't do those, at least one of them, preferably both, I got nothing. Again, I was a bit surprised by how high the very first move priority of the slot corner of D. Elford. I do love the upside of that one, but you need to get more. Leo Chenal and Jaquan Brisker, make it happen, Brandon Beane. Because Brandon Beane, very slow moving in free agency. He's great at identifying and developing day 3 talent like DeMar Hamlin in the past, Christian Benford in the past. But when it comes to first-round picks and more in re-signings on players, but when it comes to first-round picks and more specifically, in this case, free agents, look at Josh Palmer and Curtis Samuel and Joey Bosa. He has trouble developing talent in free agency, so let's get moving on Leo Chenal and Jaquan Brisker and Collins before anyone else does. Anyways, guys, those are a Buffalo Bills free agent update for Brandon Beane and company. As of now, at the end of this recording, 10 o'clock a.m. on Tuesday, March 10th. We'll be back in just a couple days. This is very, very chaotic and fun and exciting stuff. Real quick, please follow me on Twitter at Wenger13. Yesterday was so fun. Gave you guys instant reactions, Bills, NFL, position news, whatever. Follow me on Twitter /X at Wenger13. You can follow the show on Twitter /X at Around Slice. You can, of course, watch or listen to this podcast on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. If you are watching on YouTube right now, 1, I sincerely appreciate it. 2, please let me know down in the comments below what you think of all of this. Is there one move in particular where you really like? Are you as devastated, knife in the heart, devastated for Sledge leaving? Damn it, man. Oh, boy. Anyway, I got to get off before I start choking up. Back on track here. Please like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Always fun stuff pumping out here. And yeah, this has been a blast. It will continue to be a blast every couple days. Check in with you guys and see what's going on and see what's up. So yeah, thank you for the support as always. I will see you on the next one. Enjoy your week. I know I will around here. Thank you for the support as always. Goodbye.